World of Tanks Blitz Reforged is looking better on the second iteration versus the first one. However, I want people to remember that there are still a lot of problems with Reforged that I and you want to see changed. For example, we still don't want keys in the game, and we still don't want pay-to-win commanders. However, Wargaming is still heading down the route of more monetization for the future of the game. And that is not a good thing. As we already know, Blitz has an insane amount of monetization as it is, and I don't think that Wargaming should be allowed to put keys or paid commanders into the game. And you'll see why that's important later in the video, but it is something that I still think the player base should be very vocal on. You can agree with the changes that Wargaming has done to the sets to make them look more like the tech tree, and the overall graphics improvements, and that's all good. But the addition of keys is unwarranted, and the addition of paid commanders is still a really bad idea, and you'll see why. So let's start off with the news. There's a bunch of news to break into today. I'm going to be reading it to you, and you can let me know what you think about today's video and the overall content. Starting off, we will have what will happen to my resources. Credits and gold will remain in the game, and they will be the main two currencies, just like Blitz. Leftover premium account certificates will automatically be activated with doubled effects. I mean, it's nice that they're doubling the effects, but it is still lame that they're activating them for you. I wish they'd just still give you the certificates and then let you use them when you're actually playing the game. So, yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with that. Free XP will be doubled and converted into the Reforged equivalent. That's actually nice. Elite experience leftovers will be converted into event currency used to purchase transfer rewards. Crew XP will be transferred over on account progress into Commander XP. Okay, so that's all pretty normal. The only one that's annoying is the certificates, which I think a lot of players will agree with. Okay, do I have to buy all the tanks in the tech tree before Reforged? Do I have to use credits to unlock the sets after the update? No, for now it is only suggested to buy the highest tank of a set. So in other words, yes, you basically do. If you don't have a tier 10 in your garage, you need to buy it. Let's say, for example, you have the Progetto 65 researched but not purchased. When that set gets released, you will still have to use keys to unlock the set if you don't have the vehicle in your garage. The research will transfer. So if you've researched the vehicle, it will stay unlocked for credits in Reforged. But the set itself will require you to spend keys on it. I know, it sounds stupid. It is stupid. In other words, you have to purchase the tier 10 or the highest. Certain sets, the tier 10 isn't the highest. For example, the AMX 1375 is the highest of the lower tier autoloading set. So you have to purchase the AMX 1375 if you want to have access to the AMX 12T and AMX ELC BIS. It's stupid. It's very confusing. And I don't understand why Wargaming's doing this. If you have the tanks researched, the set should be researched. But no, if you don't have the vehicle purchased of the highest equivalent tier in that set, it will not be unlocked for you, which is a little stupid. But hopefully that wasn't too confusing. All right, what else do we have? What will happen to collectors and premium tanks? These will still be a thing in Reforged, but with few differences. First, you got to know that enrichment will become openly available and with different levels of enrichment, which are unlocked with gold. I think this is a really stupid concept. Basically, let's say you buy an IS-6. Well, the IS-6 now has different levels of enrichment. So it has like a base level of like maybe 100% extra credits, and then you can increase it to like 160% by spending more gold. I don't understand that. Isn't the whole point of buying a premium so that you earn more credits, not so that you have to spend more gold to then earn more credits? I don't know. I don't love that idea, but we'll have to see how many more credits you earn by enriching the vehicles. What I read is that you should earn more credits than base, and you'll see that here in a moment. But so it says in different levels of enrichment, which are unlocked with gold, enrichment is rather cheap. Collectors obtained through sets won't be enriched by default, but collectors transferred from the base game will come with enrichment, while premium tanks will have the highest level of enrichment available. So premium tanks will still earn the most credits, and then collectors won't. So basically, if you purchase a collector, it's not a premium tank anymore. It's basically a worse premium tank, which you then have to spend gold to increase how many credits you earn with it, which is kind of stupid. Wargaming developers intend all premiums collectors transferred to earn more than the current version of the game, which is true. However, you also have to spend more credits to play Reforged. And I already talked about this in my previous videos. For example, to get a tier 8 fully purchased and upgraded, it's going to cost like 8, 9 million credits. Where currently in Blitz, it's only like 4 million credits. So you might earn more credits in Reforged, but you also need more credits to equip and research your tanks. So I don't really agree with that. It's kind of like inflation, right? You're earning more money, but it costs more money to buy everything. So therefore, you're actually not earning more money. It only looks like that on paper. So yeah, basically Wargaming's making a way so now that you have to spend more gold after purchasing your collector. I don't agree with that. I think it's a bad idea, but whatever. There's a new type of tank called specials that will represent tanks that cannot be obtained easily, will remain rare. These have been explained with a bit more detail in previous. Okay, we'll take a look at what special tanks are. World of Tanks, but Reforged, update Unreal Engine. Okay. We've prepared more questions and answers concerning Reforged Open Test 2, expecting to cover the most important topics and features, blah, blah, blah. Battle interface overhauled, return to original colors, more readable damage, that's good. Improved performance, that's good. Physics improvements, that's good. Customization tab has been reworked. I don't love the customization tab, but hopefully they make it a bit better. Shells have received new and better descriptions of how they work. Okay. Some tanks have been moved from one set to another to fit the theme better. That's actually really good. We'll have to see how Wargaming did, though, when we get Ultra Test 2 tomorrow. Crew voices have been re-implemented. Good. Sensitivity have been added. That's very good. I thought those were already added. Okay. Improved statistics screen. It didn't look that improved to me, but what do I know? Player profile backgrounds are now implemented. Cool, I guess. Sets have background music according to their theme. Cool, don't care. Ray tracing, that's cool. Hopefully it doesn't, like, cook my 4090. A number of legendary camos and tanks got particle updates. Cool. New particles, image 2 ray tracing, image 3 ray tracing. I mean, let's see. This looks fine. I mean, honestly, we'll have to see what it looks like when we actually play it and how the graphics feel. When will the update happen? It is unknown. We can no longer estimate the release of Reforged since there are so many developers in motion working on different aspects of the game. Wargaming has been listening to most feedback and implementing changes accordingly. This ensures the final version of Reforged will be closer to what the players expect, but will also postpone the development indefinitely until a definitive launch day is announced. Well, I can tell you now, Wargaming, and I know that devs do watch my videos. If you're watching my video today and you plan on watching some of my future Reforged videos and live streams, you should be very open to removing keys from the game because it is going to be something I'm going to be vocal on. I'm glad that you guys removed steel, but still, keys need to be removed. Does Reforged still look like a Fortnite clone? Wargaming has listened to feedback, and the Fortnite-like styles have been heavily tuned down. So, yeah, it's going to look less like Fortnite. Sorry, my nose is a little itchy right there. Regarding commanders, specifically both Duncan and Olivia have been reworked. Ducky has been removed, so basically they're reworking commanders. Commander voices can also be turned off and replaced with standard crew ones. Will I be able to play the game on my current devices? Yes, you will, but it will likely look worse on lower graphics options. The game has introduced DLSS, which plans to introduce FSR and other anti-aliasing and upscaling methods. This should result in major improvements to frame rates while maintaining high quality graphics. Note that it is subjective to the player's taste. So, in other words, if you're running on a lower end device, Blitz Reforged might not actually look better than the current version of the game. This is mainly going to be a big graphics improvement, hopefully for PC players. And I don't have a problem if Wargaming wants to make this game more towards a PC demographic, but they also need to keep it mobile-based because obviously mobile gaming is going to be the future. But we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. I do have an iPad Pro. I've had it for like 2 years, so if the game runs fine on my iPad, then I'd say it's all right. How will VRT vehicle restoration be ported to Reforged? Tanks sold will be found in the inventory and the cost the buyback price to unlock. For instance, if you sold a Chieftain Mark 6, you can buy it back for 15,000 gold. In Reforged, you can head over to your inventory and there will be a Chieftain Mark 6 coupon for 15,000 gold. So basically, if you've sold a tank, you can buy it back. You will only get the coupon if you sold the tank in the previous version of the game. I don't know why they keep calling it DAVA. Just call it Watt B previous or something. Players who never obtained the tank will not have this option. Okay, so in other words, you have the ability to buy back tanks that you did in this version of the game as well. What's with the absurd amount of nations in Blitz now? Wargaming plans to expand the amount of available nations, and more tanks of different nations will be added in the future. Not sure why there's going to be an Irish nation, but interesting. How is vehicle credit earning going to be calculated? Will players have decreased or increased credit earnings? Wargaming is in the process of fine-tuning, so in other words, no answer. Players should see an overall increase in credit earning, and the base cost per game has decreased now that provisions have been removed. I don't agree with that. You have to spend a lot more credits on equipping your tank, and not only that, but the overall, it wasn't provisions, but the consumables cost more money previously with steel. So we'll have to see how much they cost now with credits. We'll find out. So we'll see what happens there. Wargaming developers are going through each tank manually and setting their credit earning. Okay. Are there any new and interesting settings in Ultra Test 2? Unreal Engine has compatibility with post-processing. Okay, cool. The game has settings to manually change render resolution from 50 to 100%, which already exists on Lesta, meaning people should be able to reduce resolution as a way of increasing game performance. Okay. DLSS has been added, ray tracing, that's all cool. UI can be resized, that's nice. Remember, the game has the option of choosing between 3 armor highlighting settings. I don't love the armor highlighting settings right now, but we'll see if they get a little bit more streamlined in the next version. Is it true that chat is going to be deleted? A battle chat is not implemented, and developers are considering their options. Garage chat options have been implemented, but the chat itself is being worked on and it's turned off. Interesting. So again, no real answer. Some of these are like politician answers where it's like, we don't know. Well, if you don't know, then don't even write it. Are there any changes done to the crew training mastery? Some crew skills like firefighting and repairs are now built into equipment or the tank upgrades. Good. I still think that those should be automatically equipped and not part of the equipment, but it's better that I guess they're in the game now. I did make that a big important thing when I talked to the devs. Some other crew skills will be distributed to specific commanders. I don't agree with that, but we'll have to see exactly which ones. Accuracy is tested to have an aiming time difference of less than 5 to 10%, so any differences in aiming can be attributed to the differences in UI rendering. How to unlock commanders? Are they going to be balanced? You can unlock commanders in 3 ways. Player level progression. Commanders can be unlocked by simply playing the game and reaching the required player level. Events and rerun events. Commanders can be unlocked by playing time-limited events of rerun set events. Store. Some specific commanders can only be obtained through the store. Yep, you heard that right. Wargaming has now directly said it. Commanders might only, not even that, it says some specific commanders can only be obtained through the store. But what else do I need to say? Which means Wargaming is intending to monetize the game with them. Yeah, that's as simple as is. I spoke to the devs, and I specifically said, if you guys monetize commanders, I'm going to have a serious meltdown. And this is why. There was somebody in Angel's comment section yesterday who's making a big deal about me ranting about the game and how, like, I shouldn't be ranting as much. Okay, well, if I don't rant about the game, then you can be happy when Wargaming releases paid commanders that you have to spend money on, that are overpowered, and ruin the game. Yes, I know, it says right here, however, it is not in Wargaming's plans to have pay-to-win commanders. But I don't believe them. I don't believe them. I'm sorry. And if Wargaming devs are watching today's video, I don't believe you. I do not believe that you don't have plans to release pay-to-win commanders. I remember when the Smasher was released into Blitz, and it took you guys years to even admit the Smasher had an ability that was better than other tier 7s. I remember on livestream, Fatness said the Smasher was overpowered with one of the Wargaming devs there. And, like, I don't remember if it was Darth Antonius or Alexandra, but they literally, like, evaded the question like their careers depended on it and said, like, well, there's no overpowered tanks in the game. And Fatness was like, well, I don't agree with that. And, like, it's the same thing here. Wargaming could just release a completely overpowered commander and say, it's balanced, guys. I have seen how Wargaming has balanced the game in the past. I have seen their decision-making when it comes to balancing tanks. And I do not believe, even in the slightest, that they have any intention of releasing balanced commanders. And even if they think they're balanced, they don't understand their own game enough to realize the implications and effects that they could cause. I already had this conversation with the dev. I said, even if you released a commander that had the smallest buff, like 5% more view range, you have to realize that in a competitive scene, 5% more view range to a light tank is insane. And if you put even that small buff on a light tank, it could completely change the way that battles are played in comp. which means that you are forced to buy a commander, which could be a limited time release, so that you have an advantage in the competitive scene. I think that paid commanders can legitimately kill the comp scene of this game, or at least the skill level of comp, because you would have to buy every single commander when they come out to keep up to date with the most relevant changes. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the commanders are balanced. If they give you an ability that another commander cannot give you, then you are giving players abilities that others don't have. It's bullcrap. It should not be put into the game. Wargaming will do it anyways, but this is my warning to Wargaming. War Robots took the same path that you guys are planning to take with your commanders here, and War Robots killed a very large portion of their player base. And the same thing for events and event reruns. Commanders being unlocked by limited time events is stupid. This is why World of Tanks PC's Equipment 2.0 is much better than Commanders, because Equipment 2.0 on World of Tanks PC, I can get any piece of equipment I want just by playing the game and getting bonds, right? There's no special equipment on PC. There is, but it's all obtainable by playing the game, and every player can purchase the equipment as long as they have bonds or the parts that you can make experimental equipment with. You can't do that with commanders. You can't get the same commanders that other players can if you're putting them behind paywalls. Basically, what you're doing is you're screwing the players. So, any free-to-play players out there, or any comp players, you better be very scared about the future of Blitz. And this is something that I'm seriously disappointed in reading. Wargaming was trying to evade it the first time, but the fact that they have openly said that some specific commanders can only be obtained through the store, this is a serious problem. And the fact that I don't need to say anything else. It's a serious problem, and I'm very disappointed in reading that. So that's what I'll say. Based on how the game is being developed, and only from a game design point of view, it is safe to assume Wargaming is looking to implement commanders mostly as a way to add more variety to the game in a similar way premium and collector tanks have been introduced into the game so far. Yeah, no, definitely not because of monetization. No, they are it's the same thing keys, right? Keys are just adding variety to the game, clearly. Keys aren't a way to basically add a paywall to what were previously free tech trees that anybody could grind at any moment. No, definitely not. That's why they've made more sets than there are tech trees. That way they can make you even spend more keys by splitting the lines in half. No, definitely not something that would just, cost money. I have no words. I have no words. Keys and commanders are simply a way to further monetize the game. And if any dev wants to argue with this, go ahead. I disagree. I highly disagree. The Chieftain frickin' Gold Vein was just released for 1,500 to 2,000 US dollars. I do not trust anything Wargaming says in terms of adding more variety. What they're trying to do is add more money in their wallets. And while I am being, optimistic about some of the changes on Reforged, I knew commanders the immediate I saw them. I just knew that they were going to be a way to put more money into the game. That's as simple as it is. So I'm very disappointed in reading that. I really am, and I think Wargaming is letting a lot of the player base down with saying that they're going to add paid commanders. I don't care if they're. I don't. I don't care that Wargaming might make them balanced. It's still stupid. It says this also means that a very specialized tank that excels in just one aspect of the game may become significantly better if using the right commander to exploit its base characteristics. Exactly. Like, it's not even that. It's just stupid. It's really stupid. A disclaimer that all this information is subject to change. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think paid commanders are going to be subject to change. How have sets improved? A new tech tree feature has been added. Most of you have already seen that. Sets will only include premium vehicles and now be free to unlock. Okay, but the free vehicles that you normally grind are not free to unlock, which is still stupid. What will happen to equipment? I mean, the rest of this is pretty basic as we can see. T-34, 3, and 59 patent move from tier 8 to tier 9. What? Fury Pollack tank move from tier 6 to 7. Interesting. These are coming back to researchable. Weird. T-34, 3. Weird. Okay. That's really interesting. Preload Ultra Chest to here. Okay, well there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is not great, I'll be honest. It's not great. Wargaming just really let me down when I read that just outright they're planning on selling commanders. Like we knew that they were going to, but the fact that like it's just confirmed. It wasn't like may sell paid commanders. No, it literally said will sell paid commanders. It's just really disappointing, right? Like Reforged has some good things about it, but then it's just classic wargaming, throwing in as much monetization as they can, and it really disappoints me when I read things like that. So you guys can let me know what you think, but I'm a little disappointed. I'll be honest.